This month, Tumbl Trak is having a 10% off sale on side stations, floor bars, launch pads, hurdle keepers, all the things that you need for the side stations to keep everyone moving the whole time or doing their little rehab exercises. Visit Tumbl Trak at TUMBLTRAK, tumbltrak.com. Train smart. Remember, the show is PG-13, so you might hear a naughty word or two.
If you are in an instance where
I was
you
like,
are
oh no, what did I do now?
attempted to be murdered by a bird, can you petition to the Olympic trials?
Yes. Put that on your petition right now, you guys. It's Championships Week. The U.S. Olympic Trials qualifier for Paris is here. Plus, we have Paris qualifiers from the Asian Championships, and we will discuss the latest news with Scott Bregman from the Olympic Channel. It is May 27th, 2024, 60 days, just 2 months till the Olympics. Welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and filling in for Spencer, who's recovering from his surgery well, Olivia Karas, Michigan great, and commentator extraordinaire, BTN's greatest asset. And thank you for being back.
I'm so happy to be back.
We'll be right back with Liv, but first I want to play a clip from Behind the Scenes, a show we do every Friday. I talked about the breaking news with Scott Bregman Friday from the Olympic Channel about Tokyo Olympic alternate Emma Malabuyo qualifying to Paris finally at the Asian Games for all around after failing to qualify an individual spot in the World Cup Series.
And yeah, I was fortunate enough to talk to Emma probably like 7 minutes after that. So that's obviously like the best part of my job, is getting to talk to somebody in those moments. And I think we're going to play a little bit from that conversation. You can just kind of hear how excited and happy and proud and all of the emotion she was.
I am just so overwhelmed. I'm speechless. I think I'm still shaking just hearing the news, and I'm still like, is it real? Like, I still can't believe it, just because, you know, it's been such a long and like arduous path to get here. So that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, I still can't, I'm in shock and I can't believe it. Yeah, so at the end of the series, I was honestly super heartbroken, and I remember just crying for 3 days straight, and I pulled up all-nighters because I just was so heartbroken and I couldn't believe it. And so I was really down on myself, but then my parents reminded me of like, you know what, just try doing all around for Asian Championships. Just give it your all and just see what happens. And, you know, I really wanted to give up because I doubted myself, but I just was like, you know what, I just want to go out there, do my thing, have fun, and just work hard in the gym. But as I started getting my skills fairly quickly, like especially on bars, I got my Van Leeuwen back on bars quickly and some other skills. I was like, wait, maybe, you know, I can just have a good showing all around. And I didn't think I had the potential to get an Olympic spot. So I definitely was like, okay, we'll see where this ends up. But I performed and just did my best, and I gave it my all today. So I'm just so overwhelmed, but just so happy.
I mean, that's everything right there.
Yeah, I was just like, you know, she talked about how she wasn't sure that she could do it and could she get her vault back. And then we saw some videos in the gym, and I'm like, you're an elite gymnast. You're an Olympic alternate, by the way. So yeah, but it's so amazing. And it's crazy that it came down so close. And to remind everyone, she had to do all around here. She had to beat everyone that wasn't already in a team. So bronze got her the spot. I'm so stoked for her. Ryan has a question. Will you predict how you think the 3 Filipino athletes' scores will add up in comparison to the qualified teams?
Yeah, so they have Aaliyah Finnegan and Levi Ruivavar Young Ruivavar. Which way does it go?
Young Ruivavar.
Qualified as well. I think first off, they're not eligible for any team awards, despite having enough. They'll have enough scores if everyone does the all around in Paris. You know, those are 3 great gymnasts, but I don't think that they are going to be, you know, 8th if you add up all of their scores. But it's super exciting, and I think it's the most Filipino gymnasts that have ever qualified to the Olympic Games. There's also, of course, Carlos Yulo going for the men on the men's side.
Chuso was injured during floor podium training, so she will officially miss the Paris Games. So that breaks the streak.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster of mornings. I woke up to that news yesterday and had to write that. It sounds like an Achilles injury. I don't think she's said that, but that's sort of what I've heard from people who were there. And yeah, then this morning, then the news with Emma. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Chusovitina and her future. You know, you have to do the rehab no matter what, because she's going to want to, I'm sure at least at the very least be active. And it's hard to imagine a scenario maybe where she doesn't kind of get the itch again doing all of that work to get back and healthy. So I don't think we can ever rule her out. And we always have to remember that she reserves the right to, as a woman, change her mind at any point.
She's told us this every time she's retired and come back. So that's right. And that is an important lesson, I think, for everyone in terms of consent and gymnastics. Right? Yeah,
exactly. 100%.
That's what I'm taking it for. Speaking of, you can never count them out. I said after Gabby competed and at one event and then left the arena that like I kind of watching her stop and look around the arena when she walked out at Classic, I was like, I don't know. She was giving that look, like looking at the crowd wistfully, took a moment, and I was like, oh no, that looks like I'm done. But she's on the roster for championship. She qualified and she is on the roster. So please just let her I don't know. I worry about her being like, because when you're an Olympic champion, you know how it is, Scott. And you have an expectation for yourself. And so anything less is just like makes you mad. Maybe you feel embarrassed, which you shouldn't, because you're amazing and her gymnastics is amazing no matter how she performs. But I hope, like, if she just wants to go out like her absolute best, and she can't get her other events ready, just do beam and vault and be like, I'm Gabby Douglas. You're welcome for me being here. I'm amazing. And like, what would be wrong with that? I would see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think she should, if she wants to compete, I think she should compete. I think she should get a chance, of course, I don't know. We don't know if this will be the end, if maybe she will continue on, but at least have that closure for this season. This has been a big podcast day for me actually today, because I recorded a preview for the US Championships for the Olympics podcast that's coming out on Wednesday. And on that conversation, I was saying, and maybe this it kind of sounds crazy given the results that Gabby's had to this point, but I totally agree with you. You cannot count her out. She has the skills. I really don't think she's being helped that much by Valeri in terms of actual momentum that he's generating. Now, I can't tell you, maybe that makes her feel more secure or more confident having him there, or, that sort of thing. Exactly. But I don't think that he's 5'4", like 120 pounds, and he's standing on the ground, not on a block, with one hand tapping her. I don't think he's really assisting a lot. So I believe she can do that uneven bars routine. She just hasn't been able to do it under pressure. And you can never count out someone who is both talented enough and a good enough competitor to have won the Olympics. You can never count her out. And, there's a scenario in my head that she can come out, rock her vault. Her vault is amazing. It looks exactly like it always has. And if she can hit that bar routine 2 days in a row, she could be in the top 3 or the top 4, the top 5 on uneven bars, and same with that vault, and get an invite to trials, because we don't really know how they're going to decide. You don't have to be in the top 12 in the all around. I'm hoping that like getting out in front of that huge crowd, which was totally different from the American Classic, maybe that's going to help her a little bit next week at the US Championships. Right.
It is a difference when you're like, in front of people and you're like motivated to, oh my God, this is a different feeling. Yeah, I just hope either like she does it and maybe revamps the routine so she feels comfortable not needing any kind of spot, which she could totally like. And this is the thing, like I think about Shilese, because I'm always like, Shilese isn't doing a bar routine to make a team. She's doing a bar routine to win the Olympic gold. It's a different strategy. It's a different kind of thing. So I feel like if Gabby just wants to like, let me be in the conversation for a team, change your structure of bars so you can hit it. And if you want to upgrade at trials again, because then it's like you have nothing to lose.
Absolutely. And I also think that strategy also goes back to never being able to count her out and any Olympic gold medalist out 4 weeks of time. I mean, think of the difference between Gabby Douglas, both cycles in 2012 and 2016. At both of those meets, in 2012, she was falling off beam, and she was, we were kind of crossing our fingers, and she obviously wins the Olympic gold medal in the all around. And she looked, I don't remember what she finished in the all around at 2016 trials, but then of course, as we've been saying a lot recently, she was third in qualifying behind her two teammates at the Olympic Games in Rio. And she, she can, if anyone can make quick improvements, it's Gabby. We've seen it. She's done it.
Yep. I mean, remember when she fractured her kneecap and we didn't know this in Glasgow, and she competed the whole freaking meet. I mean,
second in the world.
Yes. Like, she's a really, really amazing human being. So I just want her to feel good about herself, have a good experience, and also make the Olympic team with Suni. I want Suni and Gabby on the same team. If you want to hear more of the conversation, it's on Behind the Scenes, linked in our show notes. We go into lots more detail about other news, Finnegan changing her music, copyright questions, your questions, things about the Filipina team and how many people they qualified, how their scoring could go. Reminder, before we get back to the news with Liv and the headlines in our preview, live show tickets for Olympic trials are on sale now. So we'll be in Minneapolis right after Olympic trials. We will do our live show. And we have 3 live bonus podcast episodes this week from championships, after podium training, after women's training day 1, and after women's training 2, both with a special guest. And all of the details are in the show notes. And now back to the headlines and our preview with Liv. Emma won gold on floor and became the first Filipina ever to win gold at an Asian Games, which is super exciting. Dipa Karmakar, you remember her? She's been around for a while, right, from India. Also a historic first ever gold medal for India at the Asian Games on vault, and vault, of course, her thing, so that's cool. After being dismissed from the UCLA team, Selena Harris has announced that she is transferring to Florida. And I'm very excited to see what Jeremy can do with her and Floor, because she can dance. Jeremy, you can do all the things now. Go wild. I hope she does a whole homage to Cuban and Miami salsa.
Ooh.
She's Guatemalan. She likes to put all the Selena music in there and so I'm very excited for that. So this is exciting for you, Liv.
I know.
There's an antitrust settlement with NCAA, the Power 5 conferences, which I believe is the SEC and whatever Michigan is in.
Big 10. The big 55.
They will pay athletes, potentially retroactively back to 2016, their share of television revenue. So this is super exciting, because I'm hoping that back to 2016, the women's gymnastics rights weren't just given away as part of a package. Hey, we'll include this for free. Other breaking news, Suni's petition was granted to do All Around Championships, which is great. Remember, she didn't do bars. She didn't compete bars, so she could preserve her opportunity to petition to do All Around. Because if you've done All Around, then you couldn't petition like Gabby. Also, we are launching our U.S. Championships fantasy competition. So now with bigger budgets, per your requests. Bigger budgets, you guys. So if you want to be alerted right away when this happens, sign up for the GymCastic newsletters on our website, gymcastic.com. And with that, let us begin our discussion of the U.S. Championships. So this will be historic for one Simone Biles. And it might be it'll be another meet with 3 Olympic champions. So it's the second time in history since Classic a week ago when this happened. So Simone could potentially win her 9th all-around title. 8 is the most ever for women's or men's. So Simone is currently also tied with Alicia Sacramone for the most vault titles. Simone already owns the most floor and beam titles with 6 apiece. So looking to extend her record to 27 national titles.
That is disgusting.
A casual 27.
I mean, Simone has more national titles than the age of many of the athletes in this competition. That is a wild stat.
Yes. It's her and Gabby are the only ones that are the equal age to her number of national titles. It's ridiculous. Yeah. She's so fucking amazing. And I'm just again, rejoice that we live in the time of Simone Biles and we can experience this. Like, people will ask you years and years from now, you'll be in your rocking chair and, watching climate change go by, and you'll be saying, they'll be like, what was it like when we could have gymnastics meets before the days when climate change took away our ability to travel anywhere or have tornadoes constantly? What was it like to watch her compete? And you'll be like, I saw her do a double pike in person or on TV, or I saw when she did this or that. So anyway, something to look forward to. Not that I do want to bring up climate change in every single episode, because, I would like us to end that specifically, not for the human race and all the animals in the world, but also just so we can continue to have gymnastics, which is my personal investment in ending climate change.
I mean, I would second that. I mean, if climate change ruins the opportunity to watch gymnastics in person, like, that's a great reason to start recycling.
Right, exactly. If you needed motivation, speaking of motivation, Olympic trials. So this is the tryout for Olympic trials. So you go to championships. Right. This is your only way to get there. So Olivia, who makes it to trials?
So the top 2 all-arounders in the senior competition just automatically make it. And that is their all-around score combined from the 2 competitions. There's 2 days of competition. So those 2 spots, obviously we all have 2 names in mind who we think that will be, but the top 2 all-arounders will automatically go to the Olympic trials. From there is a minimum of 12 athletes that go. So top 2 plus 10 athletes is the minimum. Or if there's any petitioned athletes or whatnot who petition to the trials, they can go. So we will see a minimum of 12 athletes there, but there is opportunity for more than 12 athletes to go, just given different petition situations, or if the committee decides we want more people to go. So there is an opportunity to see more people there. And then in addition to the top 2 plus 10, they can invite more to trials based on the discretionary criteria, which I am not well versed in. So Jessica, can you please tell me what that is so I can understand more?
The discretionary criteria. Yes, this is the following criteria to be considered if they want to invite you. Your last year of results in an FIG judged national and international meet. So it doesn't include NCAA. So it has to be just your results from FIG meets. D scores, E scores, consistency. So this is percentage of hit routines at an FIG meet. So again, not your college consistency. Composite strength of the team, including individual medals. Do I think they're going to care about individual medals? No, because every time for the last 6 years, all they have done is chosen by rank all around order, but potentially maybe Tom Forrester did say in a recent interview that if Riley McCusker had hit her bar routine, they would have taken her to trials. So I think that is another. Maybe they're going to take that into consideration. But then world-class presentation, which is your strength, endurance, technical execution, all of that stuff. And I think that's also important because you have to show that you can do all the training leading up to and as much as necessary. And then your physical capability to fulfill the training. Also part of that. So a petition to trials has to be submitted no later than the conclusion of championships. No later than.
Oh, wow.
So if I was a coach, or an athlete, I would already have it filled out with 7 potential criteria that could have happened. And then I would have it ready just in case, you get bad news the day of competition and it all goes poor, which we've seen happen in the past. You have break something that is it's going to be fine. You can compete with, but it's hindering you on the day, like a finger, a toe. Well, not a finger if you don't do bars maybe, but toes. Everyone, didn't Simone competed with a smashed big toe for years? Did you know that?
Yeah, she did say that.
Yeah. Her toe was just in many pieces.
I remember when I was competing back in the day, Skinner didn't compete bars because she had an infection on her nail from getting acrylics done. So maybe your acrylics give you an infection and you can't compete that day.
Oh my God, the nails.
The nails.
Jordan Childs' nails. Okay, I've asked how she competes with those, and apparently she's like, it helps me remember to open my hands all the way on bars. Because can you imagine on bars? Like, and her bars are always great. Can you
Right.
imagine your whole fingernail just like flying off on bars because you did?
It happened in college a lot. My teammate Paige Ziziski used to have longer nails, and she would go for a Tkachev, and you would just see a pew and a nail just go flying, and it just like hurt my heart knowing that like tough glue just ripped off. I don't know. I could never have long nails in college, so I was never one of those people. But clearly, like, people make it work. I find that extremely impressive.
I'm so impressed with it. I'm like, I would be terrified. Just the idea that, like, what if the acrylic sticks to your actual nail and it takes the whole thing with it? That is my worst. I can't even. It's so. Let's just move on because I
I think
can't.
we need to move on. But my point being, getting acrylics could lead to an infection, which could make you have to petition to the Olympic trials.
Exactly. This is the thing. You don't want that.
You don't.
And it has happened. Like, remember, was it Katie Heenan who competed with a like staph infection on her hand at Worlds and like made I'm pretty sure it was Katie Heenan. And I'm just like, these are why bars are disgusting. Like, 'cause it's hilarious to me when they clean up the blood, because I'm like, yeah, bars are always covered with blood, by the way. And people just compete with a staph infection. It's just like when you finish anything in gymnastics, just disinfect yourself.
Yeah, and you spit on your grip. So now you got people spit on the bar. You've got blood, staph infection. I don't know. That's really gnarly. I'm so happy I never have to do a bar routine ever again, knowing more of this information.
Sports are gross.
So gnarly.
So I want to talk about I want to frame championships in a way, because, you know, it is one of those things where, like, I think we're so focused on, like, it's an Olympic year. Oh, who's going to make it to the, but also, like, there is just making it here, just being an elite gymnast, us being able to enjoy this gymnastics should also be celebrated. So I feel like we can frame this in contenders or versus the joy of gymnastics by session. So I want to talk about who to watch each session and why. And remember that the qualifying score was lowered very far to championships. So there's 2 sessions, and there's so few juniors that the juniors and seniors are mixed into the first session. And so there's a lot of people who, you know, this is the end of the road for them. You can look forward to seeing their amazing gymnastics in college for a lot of them, or, you know, next year they might be the people that go to the Jakarta World Championships after the Olympics, right? So keep those things in mind. But while we think about who the contenders are, what are the score ranges that we're looking for?
So the score range for contenders wanting to qualify to the Olympic trials is in the 54 all around area. So that's 14s and high 13s on each event. So when you're watching everyone competing and you see a lower score, perhaps a fall or a major mistake in like the 11s, 12s, that's a little bit of an issue. Have to obviously make up for that on other events. So keep the high 13s and 14s in mind. And of course, you will see some 15s here and there because there are some incredible athletes at this competition. I mean, I was even looking at the scores from classics, and I cannot believe Simone just casually gets like a 59. I'm like, who are you? What is happening? And Shiley's right there with a 57. Like, the scores are really impressive. So keep that 54 number in mind when you're looking at qualifying to trials.
So let's talk about session number 1. So I want to talk about Tyler Turner, a junior, in my joy of gymnastics, because her floor routine is state of the art. It's, I think, in terms of artistry, a top floor routine in the world right now. And she continues the Morgan Hurd legacy of wearing glasses while doing gymnastics, which now is like no big deal, because we saw Morgan do it for so long. It's like, oh, it's summertime, your glasses fog up, no problem. Everyone can do it. So just watch her, enjoy her, and also watch this floor routine before she has moved to Woga. So Woga's going to ruin her floor. So watch it now while you can still enjoy it before they change her choreography. I'm just saying, that's what's going to happen. When's the last time you saw a Woga floor routine that like blew you away and you absolutely loved it? Like, there's some pretty, but it's not going to be like this. So enjoy her. She's amazing. The next person is someone you love.
I do.
You love her beam, Kamara Williams.
I think it is one of the most spectacular things. Like, I just am so blown away by, like, I love good gymnastics. I'm just a sucker for good gymnastics. I think a lot of people listening are suckers for good gymnastics. That's just good gymnastics. And how she sometimes connects it. Like, what world do we live in that we get to see a back tuck sideways on the beam? That's wild to me. Like, I don't know. Every time I see it, I'm more and more impressed. And I think that she gives me joy when I watch her do beam.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of her beam.
Yep. And she gives, like, her tumbling is so high, it like always reminds people of that time that Trinity Thomas did a double layout to like split jump into the stratosphere and then landed back. Like, she's just so fun to watch. Addie Fulcher is a junior. She just competed in Columbia, and I want to recommend watching her Yang Bo. Yes, we rarely see that, and it is beautiful and it's legit. And she does it in a way that it looks like she is like seat belting, putting herself in a roller coaster to do it. It's just like an unusual, the whole thing is just really cool the way she does it. So also Nola Matthews is in session 2, but Nola Matthews floor is another one that I put in the state of the art in gymnastics. It is watch it, enjoy it. I totally want to know what people tell me what your story is that goes. Cause I always have a story of that she's like a goth in the rain, you know, listening to music after a breakup on a rooftop, you know, with.
You've really thought about this.
I have thought about it a lot. And she always rolls her eyes at me like, what are you talking about? But anyway, I love her. This one is a little more, she's on the roof of a haunted house.
Oh,
Yes. So, okay, session 2. So this session is more who we expect to go to trials is in consideration, or we would strongly encourage the selection committee to extend an invitation to them, because we think they'll probably just go and rank order of they have to go and rank order of the top 2, but then take the next 10. So we're hoping. So thinking ahead to Olympic team selection, the presumptive team right now is Simone and Shilese, like these two.
100%.
Yeah, they've been they've been first and second or first and third all around, respectively, at the last 2 worlds. So this is who we're thinking it's going to be.
And I mean, you know, Simone, I mentioned she had that 59.5 at classics, and then Shilese with a 57. I don't remember what it was. 57.
Yeah. 57.65.
Yes, that's what I thought. It's 57.65. You know, Simone being 2 points ahead of Shilese, but like Shilese was 2 points ahead of Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about like the lock, so to speak, anything can happen, but like that's pretty, that's pretty impressive.
Yes. Yeah. So, and the other thing we have to keep in mind is like, hopefully the selection committee is not just going to go and rank all around order, but the highest scoring team, because this is the mistake that was made by the last administration. They just went by rank all around order because what I think is they're doing that because they think it's too controversial to not go by rank all around order. And I'm like, no, you stand up publicly, selection committee, speak to the team to like why you chose the team, why you did it. Marta would do that. Marta would come out afterwards and talk to us. And I had asked her specifically, why is so-and-so an alternate instead of on the team? And she would say, oh, because we can plug her in anywhere for anyone. So this is the highest scoring team, but we can, if this person is out of that person out, we can use Regan Smith, for example. Defend your position. It's totally defendable. I don't think it's controversial to pick the highest scoring team. It's just, anyway. So we'll talk about this while we discuss the contenders. So for doing all around at the Olympics, Simone.
Of course.
Doesn't have to do a lot. Keep her streak alive. I do think, I don't know if you've heard about this, but I do think she's going to be a little pissed about the beam situation, or the perceived beam situation, which is that she lost to Suni on beam by a 10th, I think. And the allegation that, and this has nothing to do with Suni and nothing to do with Simone, this has to do with the judging at Classic, that Suni petitioned after the time limit was up to petition. If you want to petition, do an inquiry on your routine score. You can only do it on the D score, and that the inquiry was done after the time limit, and they changed the score when they couldn't change the score, and that made Suni the winner because she got that higher D score. This is obviously, if this is exactly what happened, and I don't have a way to confirm this other than I've heard this from several people, that this is what happened, because I didn't have a timer and I couldn't see where the inquiry was being done, and we didn't have the scores up, so I couldn't see when it was changed. But I think Simone did make some, like, not D score mistakes, but some minor issues with like not connecting things, a little wobbly.
Right.
So I think she's going to be, she is fueled by a certain kind of, I want to win and destroy everyone, even though she never says that. She has that spirit, right? Like, you can see it.
She's competitive. And I love that. I mean, competition drive is what makes you better and makes you want to be better. And so I love that. I mean, I do think, and obviously it's an on the day thing, and the ops of it, we can't confirm, as you said, like, we don't know. But at the end of the day, I do believe, and I trust me, I love Simone. I think her gymnastics is spectacular. Suni's beam presence, to me, if she can do what we've seen her do with minimal wobbles, adding in the more difficult dismount that gives her higher D score, I think she could outscore Simone. I mean, I think her gymnastics is just so elegant and so international. Like, it just ladders up to the international talent that we see. Simone's is so powerful and raw, and like the difficulty is off the charts, but there's just a different type of elegance that Suni brings that I think when she's on and completely just nails everything, you can't deduct. There's nothing to deduct there. So I don't know. Barring the logistics of the petition or the routine summary inquiry, etc., I could see her having that leg up.
Yep.
But it will fuel Simone. So I would love to see that revenge beam routine.
Exactly, revenge beam. And I will say, like, I'm of two minds with this too, because on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, if the judges messed up, who cares what the time limit was? And good for her for fighting for her correct score.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, I'm like, if this is the Olympic Games, like, we've seen this cause massive controversy and problems at Olympic Games.
Exactly.
But if at Olympic Games, the judges had just done the right thing and be like, yeah, we messed up, that person is not the winner, let's switch it, then Paul Hamm wouldn't have had to suffer through everything he suffered with after he won, because, and the president of the IOC at the time said he should, and then motion take off his medal. It was horrible. So, like, sometimes it's better to just be like, oh, we made a mistake.
How do you police that, though? Like, we're talking about, that was classics. Like, that's the lowest stakes scenario that we're going to have for the remainder of the year. So how do you police that when you get to a trials or the Olympics? Like, that, to me, when you even think about, it's like giving me flashbacks to 2023 regionals with Michigan and LSU and doing the math on that piece of paper to see which team goes. Like, how do you make sure that everything is, the process is followed, so you don't get a Paul Hamm situation, you don't get a situation like this that can make the games, it can ruin it. It just ruins it for everyone involved. I hate logistics of this stuff. It drives me crazy.
I mean, I think, like, this is the kind of thing that there are many complaints about judging, way more on the men's side. And I think that you make a huge stink as a coach about it and put in a formal complaint, and then it's hopefully locked down and not allowed to happen. Or, there's someone there who's like, you guys have 60 seconds. If you have a petition, this is your last inquiry. That's it. Also about Simone, though, Simone is going to upgrade her dismount. So this is the advantage she should have. And in the past, Simone has had the highest E score very consistently. So it's going to be, but I love, seeing those two compared, like, head to head on beam. Oh, I'm so excited. Different styles, great execution, difficulty. And like you said, like, Suni is so fluid on beam.
Just
Yeah, totally different style. And this is what I love about gymnastics. Different body types, different kind of gymnastics. It's for everyone, and you can use the code to your advantage. Shilese Jones, basically just do what she's been doing.
Yes.
Yeah. And she can, and again, re-emphasizing, she's doing the routine construction she's doing so that she can win a bars gold, and she can upgrade her dismount. That gives her another 10th. So this is what I think. And she also said, like, she was just like, her floor routine is still a work in progress. So I think she was able to do her floor routine, get feedback on it, and then hopefully, tighten it to where it needs to be. Although, hello, she plays like second at Classic on floor.
Right. And she had that wonky L turn situation that like was just uncharacteristic. But I don't know. She has to do the exact same thing she's been doing. And even that vault, I mean, she kind of flares the double twist, which I'm like so here for. So I'm like, just flare it, stick it, call it a day. Like, to me, if she continues doing what she's doing, she's climbing at the right time. Like, she really, really is. And I love it for her. I just want to see her keep doing it because I think she's a breath of fresh air to an international stage.
Yes. Suni, we talked about her petition has been accepted so she can compete all around. So that was a wise calculation, I think, to wait until she's really ready to do bars. We've talked a lot about her bars because she has done lots of routines and podium training this whole season. She only competed bars at Winter Cup. She hit her full twisting Jaeger every time in practice, but then she didn't hit it when she was competing. So what do you think about her bars composition? What do you think she should do?
I mean, what's so fascinating to me about this is that she could do 17 different routines and just decide on that given day what she needs to do in order to either hit max difficulty, etc. As beautiful as the full twisting Jaeger is, I'm just like, don't play with it right now. Like, let's just not do that. Let's hit a gorgeous, beautiful. And again, you're talking about E-score. Like, her E-score is just incredible because everything she does is so precise on bars. So in a perfect world, I'm like, she has so many tricks up her sleeve. I'm like, if she does a classic like Suni routine that we've seen in the past, I mean, maybe you even do what you did at the Olympics. Like, she can do it. We know she can hit it. I don't know. I really hope she goes easy for Suni. I'm using that in like air quotes because easy for Suni is like, it's still a massive score on bars. And she connects everything. So like, even if she didn't do the max difficulty that we know she can do, she can certainly throw together a bunch of connections, stick the dismount. College really, like, you see these former collegiate athletes like sticking everything. Jordan sticking bar dismounts, like Leanne sticking bar dismounts. Like, use that to your advantage. Stick the dismount, great score, and then bring more difficulty once we get to Paris, where we can kind of play a little bit more with some of those larger the wow skills, even though her routine is wow anyway.
When I asked Chelsea about what would happen, thinking maybe Suni could only do 2 events back and when we had our like media summit at camp, which was like February. And Chelsea is on the selection committee because it says the high performance lead, and she's the high performance lead. So it should be Chelsea, just like Marta was on the selection committee back in the day. I asked her, if you have a specialist, which Suni's doing all around, but you're not going to put her up in 3-up-3 count on floor, the way floor is going right now. And probably not vault, considering the vault lineup that you have. But she said, someone's going to have to be top 2 on 2 events to take them. So we're going to expect on the Olympic team. So just in case she doesn't get, isn't ranked in the top 12 all around after this meet, which she should be, even with, I would want her to see her first or second on bars, first or second on beam, and her real competition. Yeah. And her and Shilese, on bars. My God.
I mean, that's just like, ugh.
I know. Like, do you want to win? Like, put Shilese in
like
team finals.
Medal maximization. Like, you're gonna take her. Like, come on.
Right.
I mean, with that beam routine and that bar routine, you can say all you want about it needs to be X, Y, and Z for us to take her. You're dumb if you don't take her. I truly believe it. Like, she's
Yes.
obviously, her credentials speak for itself, but like, she can hit, she can do it. I firmly believe that her going is so interesting. And what I've been thinking about, and I know I mentioned this earlier to you, I'm like getting some Weber 2012 like pit in my stomach when I think about like qualifications for Paris, because you think about the credential of a Simone and then a Shilese and then like a Suni, if you assume that they're going, and do you let Suni do all around at qualification? But like, in that scenario, I do think Shilese and Suni could kind of play who's on that day. And you have a real interesting situation when you have the, a Simone Biles competing in the all around, the reigning Olympic all around champion, and Shilese, who has placed in the top 3 in the world, twice now. So like, that's an interesting situation that you get yourselves into.
Yep, it is. It so is. The next group of gymnasts we're going to talk about is they're kind of like jockeying for position here. So Jade, who, after she tripped in her run on vault in Tokyo, said, "We're coming back here. We're doing this again." She looked great at Classic. No shades of what happened last year when she missed the world team. She, won vault gold in 2022 in Liverpool. And I think, she is making a case for herself. American Classic, she was first on vault. And yeah, she still could, I think, be in the medal contention, but I think definitely right now she is making a case for herself in the all around. So yeah, and she won American Classic and was 4th all around at this past US Classic, to clarify. So I'm excited to see where she plays into this. But I think she's like, last year I was like, oh no, she can't hit what's going on. This year, no shades of that.
And she was off at Core Classic on floor, in my opinion. She just looked off. She didn't look like her usual Jade. Maybe just needs a little bit more in the gym, a little more endurance, a couple more numbers. I don't know. But she gives me the same type of vibe. And I truly believe that college has to do with this. It's that revenge tour type of situation. Yes. She knows that routine wasn't her Olympic gold medal winning routine. She knows that. And so I think this weekend, I'm really excited to see her use that and just kind of catapult herself into a more, this is like, I'm back. I'm good. I'm okay. I had some short landings. That's not happening anymore. And I think that'll happen.
Yeah. Okay. The next 3 are sort of our plug and play assassins category of contenders. So we have Jordan Childs, already an Olympian, didn't make the last world team like Jade. Then we have DiCello, had some falls at Classic, uncharacteristic, and Leanne Wong, who's also, DiCello and Leanne Wong are world all-around medalists as well. So where do you see them fitting in? What do they need to do?
Well, first of all, I love that all 3 of our plug and play assassins are NCAA gymnasts. That just makes me so happy. So have to put that out there. Jordan, what's interesting to me is I was very impressed by her at Classics. I thought that she looked really good. She looked confident. Everything she was doing was the Jordan we saw leading up to Tokyo, as well as the Jordan we saw at UCLA. She just had that like fire under her. And that's what gives, in my opinion, that's what makes Jordan so fantastic, is her fight and her grit. And the skills speak for themselves, but like, she just looked like her old self, is what I thought. So 3rd at US Classics, just ahead of Jade, I'm pretty sure by like a half a tenth. So really close there, but still placed 3rd. I know she said in a couple interviews after, she was like, I was not expecting to place 3rd in the all around, but here we are. And I think that competing without expectations is her best friend. Mm-hmm. So that showed clearly that she didn't have any expectation for herself. She was just like, let's go. But when you look at her and what she can bring, everyone always thinks of the Classic. She brings a great dynamic vault. Her floor is so much fun. She can perform. She has the difficulty, but she also gives you a 14 plus on bars. And that's really interesting to keep in mind when we're talking about who could go where on the Paris team.
Yep. I agree with that. DiCello, another Gator gymnast, went back to Hills. She can get 14s across the board. And that's really like what we're looking at. If you want to be in contention, 14s or like a 13-9 maybe, but We want those kind of 14s in terms of looking at who's in the conversation. I mean, all the top scores in the world, which thank you, Lauren of the Gymternet. She put out her spreadsheet. And like I said last time, like Lauren does great work. If you want to support her, please do. Those, we're looking at the scores on every event. It's, in the 14s. Also, I have to mention that Manila Esposito, or Esposito, because she's Italian, not Spanish, got a 56.85 or 56.5 this recently. And I'm like, you guys, she's totally in the, oh my God, if she got an all-around medal, I love her gymnastics so much. Anyway, back to Gicello.
Gicello, I don't know. She's like an interesting one to me. I know we've kind of talked about her in the past, but like, I don't think I've ever seen Kayla Gicello fall on a shaposh. That was so weird. And like bars was so weird at that meet. Like we can all agree that like the bars were a little bit cursed in their own way. But Gicello, as you said, 14s across the board. She just has a sturdy presence. She can just hit. And if she can give us a Winter Cup-esque performance at nationals and trials, you can't really leave that off with that type of consistency, even-keeledness, can compete under pressure. She has a very interesting case to make to be on the team, but she has to prove that classic falls were just a weird shake it off, doesn't happen, fluky situation, and go lights out 2 days at nationals, gets a spot at trials, and does the exact same thing.
Yep. And I like her too because she's just like one of those that I feel like is totally dependable. I feel like it was a fluke and you can put her anywhere.
Yes.
Leanne Wong.
Our CEO.
Our CEO, Leanne Wong, who has a 98.8% hit rate in college, which is insane.
That's
and
wild.
Again, her consistency stats don't count for consideration in elite, but I think that says a lot that like she can handle pressure, she can do this. And I feel like this is her first elite meet back. I'm not like, taking because she had falls at classic. I'm not too worried about it. But what do you think?
I think that Leanne is another person like Kayla, which I also think is interesting that they're both Gators because I think that they both have a very similar demeanor when it comes to their gymnastics. Leanne has a little bit more of that almost ballet presence to her. Like she just has so much the ability to perform the chin up, the shoulders back. Like she's very, I mean, obviously, she's very Gage-esque. Like you can tell. But with her, so far, she just seemed nervous to me. Whereas last year at Classic, I remember watching her and being like, oh, she's in. She's got it. She's in the rhythm. She's in the groove. She looked just so confident. She was sticking floor passes. And so far, I almost feel like she's nervous knowing it's the Olympic year. Last year, it was like, throw it at the wall, see what spaghetti sticks, let's go for it. And this year, you can see a little more. It almost is like it's regionals, NCAA. We have to make it to nationals. I'm seeing those types of nerves. So it makes me wonder, once she makes it to trials, will we see the same type of competitive edge that we did last year when you've made it? Now it's just giving your all to make it on that team. And my gut says yes. It's just a matter of making sure she shows up at nationals to get there. So we're still kind of in regionals day 2 this weekend is my vibe that I'm feeling from Leanne. But I think if she can hit, like we know she can hit a beam set, not fall on a side summy. Come on, weird. She can go above a 54 and be in that conversation.
Yep. And I think like in the joy category of these three, Jordan, floor, enjoy 100%. Her floor. I think it's such a good compromise for the FIG code, how they put together her floor routine. It's so fun to watch. Gicello, just like the consistency. I expect her to be totally consistent. Just that is the thing. And Leanne Wong, her Arabian double pike to stag jump. We can only make faces. That's how beautiful it is. It is art. It's such
Hanging
an incredible
in the Louvre.
Hanging in the Louvre. Exactly. Okay, in the we continue to be intrigued category, we have Sky Blakely, sister of Sloane Blakely, also a Gator. Finished 5th at Classic, 2nd on vault. I think the story for her is can't have any more falls. She's had falls at her last 2 meets. Well, at Winter Cup and this classic. And she's had some falls at Worlds. I think she just has to show, like, you can depend on me now. Falls are out of the way. I'm good to go.
I agree completely. And even falling on bars was so weird for her. So I don't know. She looked very shaky on beam to me. She looked really nervous. She knows beam is her weapon. She knows that. And so that's both a blessing and a curse. Of course, the curse being it's beam. And when you're nervous for beam, it shows. But the blessing can be similarly to what I said about Leanne. If you make it to trials and she knows beam is her level up, her secret sauce, her Chick-fil-A sauce, so to speak, she could definitely figure out strategically how she needs to do beam, put most of her focus in on beam, knowing that that is the edge, and come out on top and make a very strong case for why she could not only go for beam, but medal on beam at the Olympics.
Right. That is the thing. She already got rid of the ribbons. So that's out of the way. Now just make your routine. Show you have nothing to lose. It's Olympic year. Like, just go for it. It's so easy to say sitting here at home being like, you guys just go for it, relax. Like,
and I'm like, can everyone just take a chill pill, go do some yoga, drink a coffee, go make the team? It's not that hard.
It's not that hard, you guys. It's just fine. Also continuing to be intrigued by one Gabby Douglas, Olympic champion, not once, but 3 times. But all-around Olympic champion who's here. Again, this is another historic meet where we have 3 all-around Olympic champions competing. So she's only qualified on vault, bars, and beam. And I don't know. I asked USA Gymnastics for the information if she tried to petition the petition process to petition to do all around because she's not eligible because she already did it. Late update here. She did petition to do all around so she could add floor, but it was denied. No matter what happens here, she has to finish the meet.
Yes.
She cannot do what happened last time and leave. You just can't do that. And again, I understand, like, Gabby, like many competitors are competing here and in NCAA, have gone through a lot of shit, a lot of horrific things. And it's amazing they're even here. But I feel like for herself and her own self-esteem, if not for her marketability and her legacy and everything she represents as an Olympic champion and has represented, which is perseverance in the face of a bunch of nonsense and horrific things, is just go out doing your best and just show that, like, I can do this. I can enjoy this meet and be here. No regrets.
I agree completely. And I mean, we're not in her head. We don't know how she was feeling after bars. It might, for her, that was the decision and the right thing in the moment. But I do think that I feel like she owes it to herself to compete and do it. And I think she can. And I mean, my gosh, her training footage is spectacular. She looks great. And of course, starting on bars with the fall, staying on the bar, falling again, not finishing the routine, the requirements and whatever was funky. That's hard to come back from. It really is. And so I'm hoping that she just, like you said, no regrets meet, goes out there, puts a great score up, enjoys herself, soaks it up, goes to bed knowing I did it. I did what I set out to do, which was make a comeback. And that's really impressive. So I hope we get to see it. But again, like an easier routine, her E score is exquisite. Knowing her there's no built-in deductions. So even doing an easier routine, she's going to score well if she hits, just given the nature of her being Gabby Douglas. And her technique is just so off the charts good that an easier routine it doesn't make her lose. In fact, it actually makes her win by being able to do it.
Can you explain to people, because this is the time of year when we have a lot of people that are just finding us and just finding a way to be connected to gymnastics all year long, not just every single year, not just when the Olympics come around. Can you explain what a built-in deduction is?
Yes. So I should have put my commentator hat on. So a built-in deduction is something that as a human being, your physique or the way that you were taught how to do something, it just sticks in your brain. You have bent knees, flexed feet, bent arms, maybe an arch in your back. And it's just something natural that comes to you that takes a lot of work to get your brain to switch out of and straighten your leg, point your toe, tighten your back. And so when we talk about built-in deductions versus not built-in deductions, and you watch a Suni Lee or a Gabby Douglas, their legs are always straight. The only time their legs are not straight is when they're landing, pretty much, or when they're taking off for a skill. And so when you're watching gymnastics, think about kind of the 3 keys, which is pointed toes, straight legs, straight arms. And you'll notice when you see them not pointed or straight in skills where you see a Gabby Douglas or a Suni Lee where they are. And it'll be evident to people when there's a wobble mistake that's not a built-in deduction, and when someone's just has a little less natural execution in their gymnastics.
Yeah. I think about it like when, if there are certain skills, and I'm sure both of us have this, where I can't even do it on the floor under no pressure or on a trampoline without a deduction. Like basically it's not, my body is not capable of doing it, or I don't have the strength, or I don't have the whatever to do it without a deduction. It's like you can't perform it under any circumstances without a deduction, whether it's your technique or your arms, or exactly what you said. Yeah. No matter how much you work on it, you're always going to have those deductions. That's why we get so mad in college when we see routines with built-in deductions, and we're like, you can't, that score is impossible. But anyway, we're in elite world, and the scoring is, I have to say, I'm much happier with the scoring in elite.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
I would like Gabby to just have another, just for anything, if she did just complete something, just stand there for a minute, take it all in, standing ovation, more people chant her name, and just enjoy. Like she said in her interview, I'm so happy to have the body that I have that can do this. Like, just the joy in that. Kalia Lincoln. How I love Kalia Lincoln. Should have been on last year's world team, was on the high scoring team. They didn't take her because they didn't take the highest scoring team. They took one iteration of the highest scoring team. They went by rank order, which is what I think they're going to do with who gets to go to trials and everything else. And it upsets me very much because it's the wrong thing. And they've even given themselves leeway in these selection procedures to specifically go by individual medal and the high scoring team. Anyway, Kalia Lincoln and her beautiful stalters on bars tied Shilese on floor with a 14. What did she get on floor? She got a 14. Oh, yeah, just a 14.0. She can definitely get a better score because her Moores, which she added, was a little wonky. And, she had a little like nerves with it. But my God, her gymnastics is so beautiful. You cannot, this is the thing, when I see the photos that Fact Checker takes, there are no photos of her where she isn't in perfect oversplit, knees straight, like no built-in deductions on any of her jumps reliefs. And I know that like bars isn't her strongest, but she has some beautiful, like I said, the stalters on bars. She is definitely one who I expect, if she just gets the little things under control, can totally be top 3 on floor and show herself in the conversation for sure for trials. Like I expect her to make trials.
I agree completely. There's no scenario where she shouldn't make trials, in my opinion. I do think that floor routine, though, that is interesting to me because I think with cleaning some things up, to your point, she could totally make a case for saying, put me in anywhere and I can do what you need me to do. But that floor routine on an international stage, I think it would score very well.
Yeah. I mean, you have the Olympic champion on floor, Jade Carey, competing here, but we have Simone, obviously, would beat Jade's score, but also Shilese and Kalia Lincoln and Tiana Sumana-Sacra also beat the reigning Olympic champion on floor. Sumana-Sacra got a 13.9. She, like I said, at Classic, blew me away. So impressed by her.
That 6th place finish was amazing. And I think that the double layout full is so good. And her technique is so good. And she does like the first layout and then like rises and twists the second one and practically sticks. And I'm just like, talk about an E-score, right? Talk about execution. Like that, there's nothing wrong with that skill. And when she lands it the way that she did at Classic, impressive.
Yeah. I'm very excited to watch her. She's just like one of those where I'm like, oh, peaking at exactly the right time, doing the right thing. And speaking of that, Jayla Hang has a big ass beam routine with a big D, a 13.9. She also has a 13.9 vault. Like, she's another one that I'm like, maybe it's not this Olympics around, but definitely Worlds, and maybe she's an LA 2028 person. But like, she's also someone's totally in the conversation. Her beam is so hard. It has all the things. It's so fun to watch. Like, if I put together, like we did recently in an episode, put together our fantasy hardest beam routines, she has most of the things. I mean, obviously, she doesn't have a backspin and a tesa and, you know, the nuts things that no one does in gymnastics anymore. But like all the things that you want in there, the aerial layout, like it's such a great beam. She does such a good job with it. And just watch her, because do not count her out is what I'm saying. And then we have another Gator in the conversation, Trinity Thomas.
Another one I don't think you can count out. People might not agree with me on that, but she's Trinity freaking Thomas. Like, tied the 10 record in NCAA. She does not just go down without a fight. And I mean, tied for third on bars, 14-3. Her bars is stunning. We know that. I mean, how many 10s did she have on bars in NCAA? And obviously, to the Petition's point, NCAA consistency is not a factor here, but you'd be remiss to not think about it in the back of your mind when you think about Trinity Thomas and what she has to offer. And I do think, you know, falling on beam, I freaking hate wolf turns. So like watching her fall on a wolf turn made me so sad. It just was like, stop. But I would love to see her in the all around and break the 54 and show that she can get 14s across the board. I've been missing her floor. I'm really hoping we see her do floor.
Yeah, me too. And I love how she starts it off with, as I call it, the sexy worm, which she laughed at me for saying that. But like, it's cool. It's like
yes.
Yeah, it's cool. It's different. It's something unique that she starts her floor routine with. Also, we talked about Miley Liu before. She had a sore back, so wasn't at Classic. She's already qualified to championship, so she's not on the start list. So I don't know if that's going to change or she's out. We do have a very robust schedule coming up for championships. Bonus podcast schedule. So I will be in Texas again. In Texas, you guys. Was there a way I could go to Texas but not make sure any of my money went to support the governor of Texas? That would be really the ideal way to travel to Texas.
But you'll get barbecue.
Yeah, well, there's that. I mean, fact checkers
can get it anywhere, but I have a really good barbecue spot for you and anyone listening that you should certainly go to Panther City Barbecue in Fort Worth, Texas.
Panther City. I mean, I love the name.
Exactly. You should go just for that reason.
Oh my God. Okay, excellent. I also, there's a place, I don't know the name of it, but there's a place who went line dancing at this place. And then they had some partner dancing too. But this is the thing. It starts off as like country dance, but then it's hip hop line dancing.
Ooh.
And I was like, this is excellent. I also gotten a little bit of a thing with the bounce. I thought it was it was Halloween and people were dressed up. So I thought the bouncer was just dressed up as a cop. So I said something and he didn't think that was funny because I didn't know you could just hire cops in their uniforms for private things. So he didn't care for my comment. And he was like, where are you from? And I was like, California. And he was like, oh, why don't you take Beto back to California with you? And I was like, oh, thank you so much. All right, I'm just going to go dance now. So we got along really well. Yeah, I think he's a Greg Abbott supporter. Okay, so anywho, bonus championships podcast schedule. So Wednesday the 29th after women's podium training. So that'll be about 8:45 local, 6:45 Pacific. Then the 31st Friday after women's day 1 competition. That's 10 p.m., 15 p.m. localish, 8:15 p.m.ish Pacific. Then June 2nd, Sunday after the final day of women's competition, day 2 of women's, 9:15 p.m., 7:15-ish Pacific. Remember, we got to go to Mix Zone, talk to people, get some information. What do the athletes have to say about the competition? And then I can report it back to you guys immediately after. So look forward to those upcoming episodes. And if you're not familiar with these bonus podcasts, these are brought to you by Club Gym Nerd, who are the people that support this show and allow us the budget to travel to Texas to cover a meet in person and give you the behind the scenes stories. These are the people who support us every single month and allow me to afford to go to the Olympic Games, which I will be there in person at the meet, in the venue, reporting from the Olympic Games, which I'm so excited and so like lucky to do this, and so proud that I get to tell you guys all the things that went on in the arena and what it's like. So you get an extra podcast every single week if you're a Club Gym Nerd member. And we did like our behind the scenes this week with Scott Bregman. We answer your questions live, and then you get these bonus episodes from competitions. And we have our own VIP section in the forum. You get some extended interviews. You get a discount on live show tickets, which, speaking of which, live show happening at Olympic Trials. Get your tickets now to that. We're recording on the 27th. This is the last day of the early bird discount for Olympic Trials. The Olympic team is going to be announced. And then 900 feet away is our live show. It's literally 900 feet away. We're going to talk about the Olympic team, who they just picked, get all of our feelings out as a family together with a bar. So that is what will be happening. All right. So please, if you would consider supporting us in our coverage all year long and all 4 years, not just during the Olympic Games, check it out at gymcastic.com. Join the club. And if you have any questions or need help, customer service at gymcastic.com. Our fantasy winner from our fantasy league from US Classic is Stick It. Stick It, you have won a mini commission, and we will send you the information so you can get us to talk about anything you want tangentially gymnastics related for 10 or 15 minutes, whatever you want us to talk about. Like the person that we talked about, our highest scoring beam routines, that was a mini commission person. They're just like, put together your, and of course mine was, people like, but no one will ever do that routine. And I was like, I don't care. It's, you want to know what comes out of my brain? This is what comes out of it. Spencer's was more realistic. So the Championships Classic game should launch any minute now. It's Monday. So you can check in for that at gymcastic.com. A couple of things happening in the Gymternet news that we have not discussed. And the first thing that is very important is we just had the meet in Colombia,
Pan Am's
international meet, and it is, as you often have in South America, the venues are open air. So basically behind the seats, instead of having like windows at the top of the arena, it's just open. So you have all the things that come along with that. It might be hot, it might be humid, there might be wildlife. So this is a video that Emma Spence posted about her vault. I don't know if you can see in the beginning of this video, a bird flies past her, not once, but twice, right before she starts to run for her vault. And I mean, it's like it almost right before she starts, it almost lands on her.
Yes,
like
I thought the same thing. And then she like nails this beautiful vault. Also, they get her name wrong. I'm like, do our queen justice. Like, can we please? But like a bird. My gosh.
It is crazy. We talked about the meet in Argentina where there was not one, but 2 dogs, 3 incidents of 2 dogs running onto the floor during this girl's floor routine. And she was totally unfazed. And I was like, this is the magic of gymnastics. How do you concentrate when anarchy is happening? Have you ever had anything like this happen to you in a meet?
I never had it happen to me, but I used to compete. I'm from Chicago, born and raised. I used to compete at the Chicago style meet at Navy Pier, and birds fly around there. So I remember being like a little kid, and I competed there from being like 6 all the way to 18. And there were numerous times where birds were just flying around, and I just thought to myself, like, how is that allowed? That there's just like full-blown birds flying around this arena. And like, I was doing a freaking like back extension roll on floor. But like, you think about the athletes who were doing like actual gymnastics, level 9, 10. And I think they actually did have some college meets there too. But like, how is that something that we can allow, having freaking pigeons flying around a venue? Like, I cannot with that.
I know the things that have happened, like from butterflies, bats, birds. I guess it has
I forgot about the bats.
The bats.
I forgot about that.
at least bats are generally like very averse to humans and have, radar. So if they're coming to land on you, it's on purpose. Where I feel like a bird, especially this time of year in the spring, I mean, I don't know what it is in Colombia right now, the season. Are we in the same season? Are they far enough down that we're in the same season?
Don't look
but
at me. My geography is terrible.
there are those really angry birds that it's their nesting time. So they'll try to murder you to get you away from their nest, and they will fly right at you. And I feel like this is what was happening right now, because it literally it looks like it landed on her tiger paw thing, her wrist guard.
So that brings me to a very important question. If you are in an instance where you are
what did I do now?
attempted to be murdered by a bird, can you petition to the Olympic trials?
Yes. Put that on your petition right now, you guys. Wildlife interference. I think that's legit.
I mean, I don't understand. If we're seeing this happen, I don't understand why wildlife interference is not a specific reason that you could petition yourself to the Olympic trials.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I think this is legitimate. About Navy Pier, did you ever compete in I don't know if they're all like this, all the piers, but there was one where there was a college meet. I went to that college meet a couple times, and basically it's tilted downwards. So if you were running for vault, you were running downhill, and the beam was long ways to the hill. So basically everyone kept falling off the same side because the beam was tilted to that side.
In that big convention room?
Yes. Not the big
I never
convention room,
had
the
that.
long, skinny pier.
Oh, no, I never did that. We were always in the convention room. I was never on the skinny pier area.
I mean, they're not that skinny, but they're very, very wide. And, but yeah, it's crazy wide. I was like, well, every single person has fallen off. And it was a little scary because people were missing, their feet were not on the beam. They're on the side of the beam when they were trying to dismount. But everything was everyone was going downhill.
Literally.
Yeah.
And
literally going downhill. Okay. Did you in the things that gymnasts are doing in the private jet arena, which we like to see? Dawes, speaking of birds, is now a falcon. Dominique Dawes. Yes. Forgive me for my dad joke right there. So she is now part of the ownership. So the organization's ownership group has added 4 new limited partners. So she's part of the ownership group. A lot of these teams now have ownership groups instead of just one owner. So the NFL team, the Atlanta Falcons, Dominique Dawes is now part of it. So I love this.
I'm here for that.
Yes. I mean, this is the thing. Did you ever have, when you were at Michigan, sometimes they'll bring in other athletes or other coaches from other sports to come in and talk to you and okay, how did you feel about that? Because every time I see that, I have feelings, but what did you think?
Well, we had Carol Hutchins come in and talk to us, and she's legendary softball coach, one of the coolest people ever. So that was very, I don't know, that was special in my opinion. I mean, it was less about hearing what Hutch had to say and more about the fact that she was on our side and paying attention to us and excited for us and whatnot. But I don't know. I think gymnastics is just so different than other sports that it's so hard to get a pep talk from someone that's defense. And you're nice. I can't play defense. I don't know what you're talking about. I can try my absolute best to defend myself on the balance beam, but I cannot do what you're asking me to do. So while I do think it is inspirational when you hear from some really cool coaches, especially women in the space like Carol Hutchins, I'm so here for it. But, sometimes I'm just what really are you going to tell me about? Besides defense.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is basically what I think when I see football coaches go to give the gymnastics team a pep talk. And I can see how it'd be oh, it's nice that this person who's a big deal cares about us. But I'm always no. But I would love a pep talk from Dawes. Dominique Dawes, whatever you're doing, you're the best pencil sharpener in the world. She gives you a pep talk. Yes, all of it is relevant. Yeah. There is a little bit of irony, though, going from she's really outspoken about abuse in gymnastics recently, which I really appreciate about her. But I'm also but now you're co-owner of the sport that literally is just murder brain. Would you like to Right. CTE yourself. This is the sport for you. But I am excited. I can at the same time hold two different thoughts in my head, which is the irony and also the like, this is great. Also, it shows that she has done well for herself financially, which is another good thing because, you know, we have some horror stories, Mochiano, Vanessa Atler. And so I am happy to see that she has done very well for herself financially. And I think that's the first thing before you get any money. You get a trust, you get a lawyer, pay your taxes, take care of yourself. And when you invest that, then you can take care of other people. Second, put your oxygen mask on first. This is the important thing. Yeah, very important. Barbies. Have you seen the new Barbies?
Oh, I've seen the Barbies.
Oh, Rebecca Andrade and Alexa Moreno have their own Barbies. And I don't know if these are like different. I don't know anything about Barbies, but they have joints. They move, like their knees move and their ankles have joints. I wonder if this is just for athletes.
Maybe, because like I don't want to make a blanket statement and say it's new, but like I don't think I've ever seen a Barbie with like moving joints.
Right. Like,
but I didn't know that I needed to have a personalized Barbie in my life. Apparently that's going on my bucket list.
I love these so much. If anyone can get me one of these, like I have been looking for literally since we added video, which I can't stand doing video, but I have embraced it. But since we've added this, I've wanted some kind of demonstration doll to show when I'm talking about certain things. And I don't want to have I don't want that white cutout doll that's in all the gyms. Remember that like puppet thing that's so hard to hold in position?
I hated that thing. It was like, look at how tight her knees are. I'm like, it's a piece of
not
plastic.
Real. Right. That thing. And it never stayed in position. And, but I have wanted like a non-white doll to show like where to draw the long bones on, so I can show like where the actual positions of the bones to judge, not the muscles to judge like the angles of what is really a straight leg. Even if you have, I don't know how muscly these Barbies are. It didn't look like they had a lot of that, but at least it's something different and they're based on a gymnast. Like, I love this. So if anyone can find a way, happy to pay for one of these dolls. Get in touch. Either one of them. I love this idea. Also, this reminds me that I feel like Suni and Gabby might have Barbies too, but they didn't have movable joints from what I remember.
Yeah, that's a whole different level of Barbieism.
Right.
Like, the movable joints is really, I'm here for that.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. So Barbie, once again, they're turning it around.
They are. They're in their Abercrombie and Fitch era of like coming back.
Wait, isn't that the store that had
that used
shirtless boys,
crazy, awful shirts? And now it's cute. I just made an order from there yesterday. I will give them my money. They're rebranding.
I mean, when a great product rebrands, like I love American Apparel t-shirts, and I don't want to buy American Apparel t-shirts, but they have the best t-shirts. Like I have ones and they last forever. Like I have ones that are literally maybe 25 years old at this point. That's how good those shirts are. I'm obsessed with them. Anyway, other news. Andrea Joyce. Remember Andrea Joyce used to be the sideline reporter? Yeah. I love, I just always think of, when I think of Andrea Joyce, I think of the moment when Andrea Joyce went to interview Alicia Sacramone, and Alicia just looks at her and was like, Andrea, before she could say anything, and made Andrea laugh. Like, I freaking love Alicia Sacramone. So she has a new book out called Legends of Women's Gymnastics, and it's written for 8 to 12-year-olds, big picture book. So I'm excited. I mean, she's got to have so many stories.
Oh my gosh.
Very excited to see. I hope that the stories are in there, even though it's for 8 to 12-year-olds. I'm like, tell some of the good stories in there.
She's definitely on my, like, could you have dinner with one person, who would it be list.
Yes.
I would love to hear some of these stories.
Yes. All right. So that is going to wrap it up for us this week. Remember to get your tickets for the Olympic Trials live show, because we've already sold out the premiums and the rest are going fast. So make sure you get your tickets to that. And oh my God, you guys, we have the most exciting giveaways for you guys. We always give away stuff at these shows and we have little contests, but we just came up with an idea because I was like, how do we make it really special and something you can't get anywhere else? And like, we just came up with something amazing, and I'm like so excited about it. I almost made the little teary thinking of like, oh, this is so unique, and I'm so excited about it. So anywho, make sure you get your tickets at gymcastic.com for the Olympic Trials live show. And I will see you guys on Wednesday after podium training to talk to you about exactly what happened at podium training at championships. And and hopefully I can see Gabby's dance through again, even though she can't do, oh my God, because she can't do floor, but I love that floor routine so much. So Olivia, thank you so much for filling in for Spencer again and for being here. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me. Of course, I am no Spencer, but I'm very honored to be here and to fill in for him.